How's it going, everybody? This is Novakast back with another video for you guys, and we'll be doing another episode review, or 2-episode review of Good Omens. So we'll be doing, for this episode at least, or this video, the last 2 episodes of Season 1, 5, and 6. It's going to be interesting. So without further delay, let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so episode 5, which is titled The Doomsday Option. To an extent, we start right after the aftermath of Aziraphale basically being blown to bits. To an extent, his shop catches fire. Crowley shows up, no sign of his friend, but does find Agnes Nutter's book and takes it, and to an extent sulks because his best friend just disappeared. Though to an extent he does come back, because after Aziraphale's body blows up, he's brought to heaven, only to an extent not want to join the fight or the war that heaven and hell have created, and decides to go back to Earth, only to find Crowley in a drunken stupor and tells him to figure out what to do next with the notes that he had for finding Adam. Sure enough, he goes to do that while Aziraphale tries to find a body. Lucky for him, this nice lady that the Sergeant Witch Finder guy that killed him is at this point seeing, or to an extent this lady that the Witchfinder Sergeant was neighbors with, I should say, to an extent, is doing a seance, and somehow that brings forth Aziraphale, and we have a very comedic scene with not the exorcism but the seance. So that was fun. Going further, we have this whole situation where Adam is torturing his friends, but to an extent, I guess through, his friends, he's able to kind of get a clear head to some degree with everything going on, and realizes that he has to fix things. And eventually, at this point now, all of the 4 horsemen have, come together and are heading to this air base near the village, Tadfield, that Adam is in. The horsemen reach this airfield and proceed to cause chaos, shutting off the power, starting to arm all the nuclear warheads, and basically preparing for the apocalypse. And as all these events are coming into place, all of the characters, Newt, which by the way I kept calling him Lucas, but his actual name is Newt. Newt and Anna are making their way to the base as well. Everybody's come together. It's basically coming down to the last seconds of the apocalypse. Everything's beginning, and to an extent we get to leave a cliffhanger with Adam showing up at the one communications building where all the 4 horsemen are at. So to a degree, it's I guess to an extent it would be showtime, or the end game to a degree of what's going to happen. All in all, it's interesting, and I like how they ended this episode, especially with this cliffhanger, because again, we got one more episode after this, and it literally ends with the apocalypse, the horsemen of the apocalypse doing their thing, and inevitably everybody showing up to see the end. So all in all, good episode. Really enjoyed it. Okay, so episode 6, which was called the very last day of the rest of our lives. So, to an extent, it's, it's the end game. It is basically the final events. Sure enough, it is interesting. Adam and his friends meet up with the four horsemen who are prepared for battle. And to an extent, with their imagination, like, I'm not freaking kidding, with their own imagination as well as Adam's abilities to change reality to the way he sees it, or way he perceives it to an extent, it inevitably causes each and every horseman of the apocalypse to disappear. They were able to defeat war using promises of peace, defeating pollution with promises of a clean world, as well as defeating famine with the promises of food for everyone. And death, well, to an extent, they can't really defeat him because death is, everything. Death is inevitable. And as Death put it, that if they were to destroy him, then the world would be destroyed as well. So to an extent, he takes off. And at first, everybody thinks that everything is good. Until, inevitably, the heads of both heaven and hell show up, Gabriel and Beelzebub, who kind of confront Adam about his choice to not kickstart the apocalypse. Which, by the way, as a kid, he's like, no, I don't want to do this. And to a greater extent, Crowley and Aziraphale kind of confuse Gabriel and Beelzebub. Kind of talking about, what if this is the plan? What if what if us stopping the apocalypse is literally what we were supposed to do? Both sides are a little bit peeved at, if this is how it's supposed to be, then to an extent they're kind of screwed because both sides are ready for blood. So they both leave, though threatening to call Adam's dad, and which, by the way, he does show up. The devil, the literal devil, shows up to try to reprimand Adam. But to an extent, with inspiration from Crowley and Aziraphale, they're able to convince Adam to come up with something, a way to defeat the devil. And to an extent, by using, again, with his ability to alter reality, he makes it so that way, I guess, to an extent, he is no longer the devil's son. Kind of recognizing the fact that his dad has always been there for him. But at this time, when it comes to the devil was no longer connected to him in any way. And that works. They postpone the apocalypse. And I say postpone because we get a scene where everybody is kind of settling in with the fact that they just survived the apocalypse. The sergeant of the Witchfinders gets together with Jezebel. Newt and Anna also get together, but also get a package. Apparently a chest that Agnes Nutter saved for them for years. And then that chest, not only including a really funny thing where, or I guess a funny prediction where the person who brought the chest to them, there was a letter for him about an affair, which I thought was really funny. But to an extent, apparently there was a sequel to Agnes's book. So to a degree, it begs the question what to do now. And at that point, Agnes, or not Agnes, but Anna decides, you know what, I'm going to be my own person and burn the book. And that's what she does. Now, going further, with everything that has happened, Crowley and Israfel is put on trial for their collusion, as well as their, the fact that they, stopped the apocalypse. So to an extent, both parties are, I guess, set up to be executed. And this is actually pretty cool. So instead, to set an example, each person was killed in a certain way that was, that was painful, or if anything, that would, be a permanent death. For Crowley, it would have been holy water. So they got like a tub of holy water for him. And for Aziraphale, they unleash hellfire all upon him. And to everybody's surprise, after the trials, they both accept their fates. And both weapons, or I guess if anything, methods of death aren't working. Crowley's fine in holy water. Aziraphale is fine in hellfire, which, by the way, he somehow spews out at the other angels, which scares them. And to an extent, both parties are like wondering what the heck is going on. And I guess to a greater extent there, they end up leaving both Crowley and Aziraphale alone. And at a twist, which was kind of set up when at one point in the earlier sections of this episode, Crowley passes the book back to Anna. A piece of the book comes out, and it's a prophecy. And I guess part of it is choose your faces carefully in trial by fire. And sure enough, that's what they did. What they end up doing, which I think is clever, they swapped bodies or identities. So Crowley, playing as Aziraphale, was sent to heaven and was, unaffected by the hellfire, whereas Aziraphale, posing as Crowley, was sent to hell and was unaffected by the tub of holy water. So to an extent, it's interesting. And the last scene with them is actually pretty good, where to an extent they are kind of proud of what they did, but to an extent realize that it's just the next step of something much greater, like, for instance, heaven and hell against the humans. So to a degree, things are looking good. Or, if anything, set up to not being good. But all in all, we don't know for sure what's going to happen next. What I can say is the last moments where they decide, like, as friends do, go out to eat, is pretty cool. And honestly, a lot of fun to watch. So, all in all, this was entertaining. I really enjoyed it. So with this kind of being the end of the series, I gotta say, or at least kind of give a brief thoughts on the entire series. Because again, this was about 6 episodes long for this season. Each episode being at least close to an hour. And all in all, entertaining. There's a lot of comedy to this, which I really enjoyed. To an extent, the characters are a lot of fun to watch. The back and forth between the characters from Michael Sheen and David Tennant are excellent, especially with them kind of being polar opposites of each other. Some of the few characters that we got to see and character interactions is really great. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, especially with British comedy and as well as British TV, a lot of it is amazing. Sometimes corny, but for the most part, very amazing. I do enjoy the intro that we get with each episode, because again, I think I said it before, that it looks similar to what we've seen with properties like Monty Python. So to an extent, it's a lot of fun to watch. Music is good. Some of the characters are entertaining. The designs for the demons are honestly kind of interesting, especially when you see them look different to an extent, and I guess, if anything, between heaven and hell to a degree. So either way, it's actually an amazing watch. I enjoyed it. I really did. So all in all, great show. And this came out in around 2019. So it would have been great to see if there was any more of this. But who knows for sure. Either way, great series, and I enjoyed it. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Truly appreciate it. If you guys can, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Rob Novakast signing off. Have a good one, take care, and I will see you guys in the next video.